All is not well with the streaming world.
Xbox,
Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, Movie Pass,
Google, Facebook, eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here and you happen to really like this video, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. We upload videos on a daily basis. We talk about apps, the gig economy, e-commerce, streaming wars, and even video games once in a while. Although, interestingly, I made a video game video and I scrapped it because I was not happy with it. So, maybe it'll be a Apptrepreneur Vlogs exclusive. Who knows? So anyway, let's talk about the streaming wars for a little bit, because here's the thing. Not everything is well in the streaming world. Now, granted, it's looking very positive. Netflix is one of the most profitable companies. Well, not profitable. They actually lose a lot of money. But they are one of the most valuable companies out there. For a brief time, last year, or maybe even it was this year, I think it was last year though, they were more valuable than the Walt Disney Company. They actually make up the N in FANG. Now, what is FANG? FANG is a term on the stock market for the most aggressive stocks on the market. These are the stocks that sunk their teeth into the market and they really haven't let go. And they stand for Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Yeah. Or was the A for Apple? Apple might be in there because you can know FANG. Anyway. So everyone seems to want to get into the streaming service. Disney Plus just launched with rave reviews. Apple TV Plus launched with okay reviews. And you have HBO Max coming out next year. So, and ESPN Plus is basically there because of the potential demise of the cable networks. And yet, for every company that seems to be getting into the streaming business, there are a few that are getting out of it, like Sony and Walmart. And this is from the Motley Fool. This is a website for investors. Why is Sony shutting PlayStation Vue and Walmart wants to sell VUDU? By the way, full disclosure, as much as I hate to admit it, because I don't like Walmart very much, VUDU is my preferred method. Every time I buy a movie and it says, do you want to redeem a digital copy, I always redeem it on VUDU. I actually go to Movies Anywhere first because that also puts it on VUDU, but VUDU is my preferred viewing method for a lot of the digital movies. So I just want to make that clear up front. So anyway, with so many people cutting the cord to the cable, it seems an odd time for Sony and Walmart to exit streaming video. Seemingly, almost every network and studio wants to get into the market, but Sony announced it is shutting down its PlayStation Vue, and if Walmart can find a buyer, it's rumored the retailer is willing to sell VUDU. Considering Apple just launched Apple TV Plus at the beginning of November and Disney kicked off Disney Plus almost 2 weeks later, is this a warning sign for the tech industry and streaming video players, or for cord cutting in general? Well, yes and no. Now let's look what their opinion is, and I'll give you my 2 cents on this, of course. A long time coming. The entire video landscape has changed since PlayStation Vue became one of the earliest live TV streaming services. Though that never conferred any first mover advantage to Sony, no doubt a big part of why it never gained much traction was that Sony had to advertise that you actually didn't need a PlayStation console to watch the service. It may have thought by attaching itself to the gaming console it would lure more viewers, but instead it just created confusion. With only a reported 500,000 subscribers, Vue badly trailed both Hulu and Sling TV, which have about 2.5 million subscribers each. Even YouTube TV has around 1.5 million. By the way, that's my live TV streaming service. I use YouTube TV. That means it was a money loser for Sony, and not even a price hike this summer that brought its base offer up to $50 per month would fix that. It was almost inevitable that PlayStation Vue would shut down. VUDU's exit might not be inevitable, but it was behind the 8 ball from the beginning. Walmart acquired VUDU in 2010 and made an on-demand movie rentals available through its website the following year. Ad-supported video came in 2016, yet VUDU also marked the retail giant's third attempt to take on Netflix after a DVD rental service and movie download business both failed. I actually remember that DVD rental service. I don't remember the movie download service. A crowded field. Video is different today than it was a decade ago. Subscription service rule the day, and the real battle is in bulked up budgets to acquire content. Netflix is reportedly spending $15 billion on content this year, up from $13 billion a year ago. Amazon.com and Apple may each spend as much as $6 billion, and Disney is said to be spending $1 billion, though has a built-in advantage of a massive library of content ready to go, developed over decades, and yeah, they will slowly trickle that out. Maybe even the last 3 seasons of Recess and the movie. Just saying, Disney. All of Recess could be on Disney Plus, and it's not. But hey, at least we have Baby Yoda, I guess. So, with content creators like Disney and AT&T and Comcast having or soon launching their own services, they're feeling very proprietary about their respective catalogs of movies and TV shows and having begun pulling them from Netflix. They're not going to want to share with other competing services either. That left Sony and Walmart with a not particularly difficult decision to make. Commit billions of dollars to acquire content with little payback from business largely unrelated to their core operations, or get rid of them. As I said, it's not a tough choice. So basically, here's what's happening. Because, by the way, Vudu does have an original series that you can watch on their service for free. It's called Mr. Mom. I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's any good. You either watch it for free with commercials, or you can just buy it. I'd probably just buy it as like $8 for the whole season, but, you know, whatever. To each his own, right? And I've never had PlayStation Vue. But here's an interesting thing, because last week, the Department of Justice actually formally filed to have the Paramount Decree dismissed. Now, what's the Paramount Decree? The Paramount Decree was a law that came up because back then, movie theaters, and I have to be as brief as possible, but this is complicated. Movie studios used to control every aspect of distribution. They made the movies. They had the advertising, and they owned the movie theaters. Basically, they had full vertical monopolies. And the Paramount Decree came up, and the government said you can't have everything. Now, what the reasons for why they did that, I won't get into. But basically, the movie theaters gave up the movie theaters. Like, basically, movie studios cannot own movie theaters while the Paramount Decree is active. Now, here's what's interesting. The DOJ decided that because of streaming, basically, the Paramount Decree is useless now. Like, anyone can make their own streaming service and put their content on their own streaming services, and so they should strike it. Now, this is still a bad deal for movie theaters, but we're not talking about movie theaters right now. Let's talk about why that should not have been struck down. That should have been expanded to include streaming. I actually felt that what would happen is, as this became a problem, as the companies got more monopolistic with their content because they were creating their own store and basically recreating their monopoly bubble, that the DOJ would probably step in and say, hey, you can either make the stuff or you can be the service that streams the stuff. You can't be both. And apparently the DOJ decided, no, it's just not even worth fighting anymore. But this is why they're mainly shutting down. I did read that PlayStation Vue's biggest problem was in fact that for being up for so long, not only were they trailing with their services, but they could not get the deals of the TV channels that they wanted. Thus, they couldn't run the services effectively and as inexpensively as they wanted. Vudu has a different problem. They were actually pretty early with the buying and renting things on demand, but guess what? iTunes does that too, and Disney has Movies Anywhere. And as they have their own services, at one point, they will, and with HBO Max coming out, they will not want to license out their content to Walmart and iTunes. They will want to have their own content they want to sell to directly. So I think that's why Walmart's got it on the chopping block. So here's been the blowout so far. Sony tried to sell PlayStation Vue, but was unable to find a buyer, so it is shutting it down in January. That might indicate a problem for Walmart. If it is shopping for a buyer, it may be difficult to find. Walmart might also just decide it wants to keep it. After all, a few years ago, Disney, Comcast, and Fox sought to sell Hulu, but ultimately decided to keep it. Disney now owns all of it. And last year, Bloomberg reported Walmart had thought about using Vudu to create a service to rival Amazon Prime Video, opening the video-on-demand platform to third-party services such as HBO Now and Showtime, and allowing customers to pay for the add-ons. It's clear Walmart really isn't sure what to do with this seemingly valuable asset as the marketplace rapidly evolves. Not all these services are going to survive, but smaller platforms will experience the greatest difficulty. It's a warning sign for the industry that there will be a greater shakeout to come, but it also indicates that with so many options available to consumers, cord cutting is as healthy as ever. So yeah, at one point, we might have to actually address, can the content creators also own their distribution? Because again, the Paramount Decree was there for a reason. Now, here's what's going to be interesting. Because a judge has to actually sign off and agree that the Paramount Decree is outdated and no longer needs to be there. But if a judge looks at it and says, no, we need to keep it, and there's a lot of reasons he might, not the least of which because the Paramount Decree prevents blockchaining. And if you don't know what blockchaining is, there's a Google and Bing search. You can search blockchaining movies, and you can find out why that's a bad thing for the industry. But if they don't strike that down, then I think it might have to be revisited that, hey, you know, these companies can't distribute their own stuff as well. Like, there has to be a middleman so that customers can for sure be getting a good deal. Because keep in mind, Disney Plus will not be $6.99 forever. It's an introductory price, but if they become number one, and there's a good chance they might, then they might be $15, $20 a month. And then at that point, it's like, my biggest fear is Disney Plus has always been this. They're entering the market, they're taking stuff off of Netflix, a service that people like, and they will at one point be confident enough, and they will have the Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, Disney anime classics, they will have National Geographic, all that stuff, that they will be able to make their streaming service essential, but just expensive enough that you have to choose between them and a couple other services. I remember when Netflix was the only game in town. People forget, Netflix DVD rentals, not streaming, DVD rentals got up to $27 a month for 2 discs at a time because there was no competition. Then Blockbuster got into the mix and immediately the price dropped to $13 because Blockbuster was doing it for $15. So, yeah, competition's good, but this, because basically what Warner and Disney is doing, and all these companies, are basically having you choose between movies. This is what I didn't like about the format war. When there's Blu-ray and HD DVD, it's like, I hope to God one of them wins soon. Because some movies were exclusive to one, and some movies were exclusive to another. Choosing between your favorite movies is like choosing between your kids. I can't do it. Yeah, I can't live without Star Wars in my life, but I also can't live without Indiana Jones in my life. I know Disney owns them both. Okay, maybe a better example, I don't want to live in a world where I can't watch the original Rambo again. Disney doesn't own Rambo, and it wouldn't be on Disney Plus anyway. So, this is going to be very interesting. I hope that VUDU is at the very least sold rather than just shuttered. I don't know who would buy it. I would say Sony, but Sony just, if they really want to get into streaming and on demand, they probably would have kept PlayStation Vue alive. Fox has been bought out, and Sony also has the Funimation streaming app. So I don't know who would buy it. Maybe Microsoft. Microsoft has their own store though, or maybe Disney will buy it and shutter it. Who knows? I mean, Target Ticket isn't around anymore. Maybe Best Buy. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I have to say about that. So what do you folks think? Do you agree, disagree? What do you think about all this? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel and going to support it, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting just a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, check us out Kevin T. Rodriguez, the Apptrepreneur vlogs, and Autograph Hound. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow streaming enthusiasts, check us out the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.